Good morning and welcome to the Rules Committee. Please call the roll.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. If I can get my left hand over there to be quiet, we'll go ahead and get started with what we have to do here today. We have several appointments that we did not complete the last time we met. We'll go ahead and get that done today. Beginning with the Commonwealth Council on Aging, we have one citizen vacancy for a 4-year term. The recommendation is Roland Winston of Enrico.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Roland Winston of Enrico be appointed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is the Modeling and Simulation Advisory Council. The recommendation is Senator Rouse.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that Senator Rouse be appointed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is the New College Institute. I am recommending Senators Suderline and Head. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, the next is the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board. Senator Marston did not wish to be reappointed. I am recommending Senator Salim.
So moved.
Moved and seconded that Senator Salim be appointed to that planning board. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is the Online Virginia Network Authority. The 2 senators to replace Senators Newman and Eben. The recommendations are Senators Pekarsky and Jordan.
So moved.
Moved and seconded that Senators Pekarsky and Jordan be appointed to that board. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is the long name, Pandas. Yeah, that one. The recommendation is Senator Vivola.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye. Next is the Roanoke River Basin Advisory Committee. Would like to recommend Senator Mokai.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next is the Secure and Resilient Commonwealth Panel. Would like to recommend Senator Williams Graves.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next is the Southern States Energy Board. We have to recommend 2, Senator Rouse and Senator Craig, or Senator McDougal, I'm sorry. Senator McDougal and Senator Rouse.
Yes.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye. Next is the Special Education and Related Services Advisory Committee. Recommendation is Senator Pekarsky.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next is the Teacher Education Licensure Advisory Board. Recommendation is to Senator Van Valkenburg.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye. Next is the Commission on Unemployment Compensation. Recommendation is Senator Craig.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Need 2 done.
Oh, we need 2. Oh, and Senator DeSteph.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we do not have a recommendation for the Virginia School for the Deaf and Blind. We can volunteer somebody, or we can come back to that at another time.
That's Senator Obenshain's district. I don't think we've heard his name called today. I nominate Senator Obenshain. Second.
All those in favor of Senator Obenshain, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, finally, we have the State Water Commission, and we'd like to recommend Senator DeSteph.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Madam Chair.
Senator Servo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't aware that Senator Marsden wanted to come off the National Capital Regional Transportation Planning Board. I've actually been having conversations with folks in Maryland about some matters before, and I'd move to reconsider his appointment to that so I can be put on that.
We put Senator Salim on there.
We
So
are very-
You want to take Salim off, and you want to go on there, but everything else you're on.
Yep. They actually have a meeting coming up in the next week, I think. They do some pretty important transportation planning for Northern Virginia. It's like the regional board for the entire DMV.
Well, if we're going to reconsider, they've already contacted Senator Boysko about being on there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm senior to her too, though.
Madam Chair,
Senator Boysko.
As the Chair of Transportation, I think it makes more sense to have the Chair of Transportation on if we're going to have a debate about this, and I would add my name as a consideration.
To the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board.
Well, Madam Chair, I move that we appoint Senator Boysko.
It's been moved and seconded that Senator Boysko be appointed to the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board. All those in favor of that nomination, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Do we have any other business to come before the Rules Committee today? No. Senator Ralph.
Madam Chair,
Senator Rouse.
I'd like to discuss bill limits, if we can, before we head into the next session.
What would you like to discuss?
I think it would be prudent upon our part to put in bill limits, at least for the Senate. I know we talked about doing it joint with the Joint Committee of the House, but understanding that we haven't necessarily moved that down the lane. I think if we're not going to put in bill limits, then we could put in limits on how many bills we will accept.
Do you have a recommendation on limits?
Madam Chair, I would leave that open for the committee to decide, but, I'm in the ballpark of 10 to 15.
Senator Eben?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to ask, when we discussing with joint rules, if you had spoken to our counterparts in the House, if there was any reaction whatsoever.
There has not been any indication that joint rules will be meeting anytime soon.
But if I could follow up, had you raised the issue with them, or did they react at all, or no?
I have not.
Thanks.
Madam Chair,
Senator Rouse.
so while we're here, not with the understanding, I'm not sure when joint rules will meet again, but since we are here in Senate rules, if we could make some movement or at least recommendations for either bill limits or how many bills we will accept coming from the House prior to next session.
Senator Pavola.
Madam Chair, I would suggest we should allow ourselves 20 bills, not counting commission bills, since this is a short session. That's a recommendation. I am happy to go up, but I would be hesitant to go down in terms of that. And I would hope that the House would agree. And I guess that's a big factor for me, because I think the point of limiting ourselves to bills doesn't make a whole lot of sense if the House doesn't have the same bill limit, because what will happen is our interest groups and folks who are interested in a specific bill, if we reach our limits, they go to the House, and they're going to come to us anyways, and we will not have had the benefit of a more full and complete hearing prior to crossover. So I really feel strongly that both bodies should have a limit, and it should be the same.
Senator Deeds.
I don't think it's a bad idea to say that 20 is our goal, and then to go to the House and try to negotiate with a meeting of the Joint Rules Committee and set some rules that apply to both sides. And I think that we ought to make sure that whatever our limit is, it's exclusive of commission bills and bills that come from the governor, or administrative bills.
Hold on. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy Monday. It is Monday. So I'd like to, I guess, ask the clerk, our bill limits of the prior short session was at 22, correct? Just as I think we need some reference to where we were in our prior short session. I think the most effective thing, Madam Chair, is for us to think about, again, helping our DLS staff. And so independent of whether or not we set a bill limit in the Senate of 20 or 25 or whatever the number is, it doesn't necessarily need to be tied to a House number rather than the proportion of when bills should be submitted to DLS in order to manage the workload. And so I'd like for that. So if they do 15, for instance, the House does 15 many times in short session, we should not limit ourselves to 15, rather when we queue up with DLS and sort of help to manage the workload and recognizing the good work that the staff does.
I went over the number of bills the last time, but anyway, Senator Lucas.
Yes, ma'am. I was about to say that during our short session that the House normally does 15 anyway. So, I mean, for us to go 20 makes no sense to me, Barbara.
We represent more people. But I hear you.
I'm talking about the load on DLS.
Maybe the timing.
Yes.
Amigo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we found in the 2023 session, there was a 35 bill request limit. 26 bills total could be introduced, 20 that were pre-filed and 6 that were non-pre-filed, and there was also a 20 commending and memorial resolution limit, and that was from 2023. And I'm sorry, that was the last short session.
That makes no sense.
Is there a recommendation that we want to come with the number and have that discussion with the House members? So they limit themselves anyway in the short session to 15.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Does the House count commission bills or governor's bills against that limit? They do not. So some members can go over that if they have commission bills, or
No, it's 15.
is it it's hard and fast? Got it. Okay.
Senator Hashmi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My recommendation would be that once the Joint Rules Committee has met, I would encourage that the Senate have a little bit of a higher bill limit than the House does, given the fact that there are 100 House members and just 40 of us. It becomes an unequal burden on the Senate when the House goes through its processes, and during crossover, we receive many more House bills. Giving us the opportunity to address the concerns of our localities is critically important, and so having a little bit of a higher bill limit, I think, is helpful for us in the Senate.
Well, given that in the short session they have a 15 limit anyway, there's no need to have a discussion with them for the short session. We can have a longer term discussion for the future, but they have 15 in the short session anyway. It's in their rules.
It's in the joint procedure resolution, it's not in the rule.
Whatever, Scott. So we can have a recommendation here for what we want to do for the short session.
Madam President, Madam Chair, listening to my colleagues at the dais and hearing everyone's concerns about at least trying to make sure they are being attainable to possible bills and legislation, whether it's from localities or other interest groups, I would recommend a 20 bill limit with excluding those resolutions and I believe we say commission bills. Yes, that would be my recommendation.
Senator Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Senator Rouse. I know the House is
typically does 15, but it's 2.5 times more of them than us. So we have a much larger area geographically and much more people in our district. So I think if we have 20, that allows us the flexibility we need to represent our people. So I like his suggestion.
So we're saying 20 exclusive of commission, bills coming from a commission. And it has to say that it is a recommendation of the commission. You can't just say that it's coming from a commission. It has to say in the bill that it is the recommendation of that commission.
Madam Chairman doesn't trust.
I'm sorry?
She didn't trust us.
I don't.
Madam Chair?
Senator Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The subject was brought up about administration or governor's bills as part of that. And it was mentioned here earlier, would there be any consideration for allowing for, say, a limited number of those to come in late, that each delegate or excuse me, each senator could do one administration bill? Because they have to govern. And they need us to be able to do some just of the routine house cleaning kinds of things that they need to do.
Don't let one person hear all this stuff.
Yeah, so if each of us could do one of those, just limit it, would that make some sense?
That's a thought. Senator Peake?
That's still a bunch of stuff.
Madam Chair, it's a little unfair if we have to put it in our bills, because from our side of the aisle, as soon as we say it's a governor's bill, it gets killed. So we might want to keep that secret and still be able to count it somehow.
If the peak bill, we're going to kill it.
It's if you're carrying it, that's the issue, Senator Peake.
That's completely aside.
Okay, so we are on the issue of administration bills or agency bills. Is that what you're talking about, Senator Marston?
Yes, it is, Madam Chair. And I think having, perhaps, say, we could request of the administration that they limit that to say 20 or 40 or whatever it is, and then people could apportion them. Huh? Because, you get things sort of at the last minute, from the administration, and just simple things, a lot of it not very complicated, but just fixes that they need to the system. I did one this year to add the Space Force to the number of our military organizations that could buy back service time. I mean, a simple, kind of bill, but I had to kill something else to be able to do that for them. Okay. And we're all responsible for governing, and some of these routine administration bills are important, and they kind of come in at the last minute.
Senator Pavola, then Senator Pavola, and then Senator Servo.
My only question, and maybe somebody can add clarification to this, is I think it's a very squishy line between when it's a governor's bill and when it's an agency bill. So that's what's giving me pause. So, I mean, you believe they're one and the same?
Just either or.
Either, so we're really getting to either or. Either a governor's bill or an agency bill is really what the thing is. I'm agnostic whether we count those or not. I don't get asked to carry a lot of the governor's bills. So, if the governor's team is involved with our commissions, we usually get their input sort of at the commission level. And usually a commission recommendation is massaged enough that we get input from the administration. So I just throw that out for thought.
Madam Chair.
Okay, we need to bring this to a close because there's another meeting at 10 o'clock. Servell and McDougal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I don't think governor's bills or agency bills ought to count. I'm sorry, I think they ought to be subject to the cap. I don't believe the governor should be able to evade our cap. It's not, it's our cap, and I think that enables him to, or her, whoever it might be in the future, to get around our limits. And I think, I don't feel comfortable with that at all. With regard to the broader topic, I thought Senator Deeds had it right last meeting, and Senator McPike this time. If the issue is DLS, the issue is the number of requests that come in late. And the way to deal with that is to set a joint, a deadline under the Joint Rules Committee on both chambers that people have to get their drafting requests in earlier, and that there's a series of caps that kick in starting around Labor Day. That will force everybody, including the administration, by the way, to get their policy agendas together earlier, get them to us earlier, get them to DLS earlier, so DLS doesn't get bombed in the month of October. That's what the real problem is. They have 3,000 requests that come in 30 days because of the way we have the deadlines currently structured. And I would just note that a drafting request limit is unenforceable because under the Virginia Rules of Professional Responsibility for Attorneys, it would require DLS lawyers to violate their duty of confidentiality to their clients to blow the whistle on anybody violating the drafting cap. So they can't enforce it anyway. So the only way to have an enforceable drafting cap is to have an earlier filing deadline with a series of bills, like say 10 bills you can put in from September to October or something, or November, and then 5 bills from the other deadline we have through the end. That's the way to solve the problem. It's not by putting caps on us. So I think this discussion is premature until we talk to joint rules. And the last thing I would say is the House's filing limit is contained in the joint procedure resolution that we adopt before the next session. They have it's been in there for about 15, 20 years now. It's not in their rules. It's in the joint procedure resolution we adopt for the coming session.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just briefly, I think there's a big difference between commissions or boards that legislative members serve on, because it is something that's coming out of the legislative process, than governors or agency bills. And this is one of the occasions where maybe Mr. Rest can write that Senator Serval and I strongly agree that those should not be included because they're not legislative branch input originated bills for the cap.
Madam Chair, if I may just to piggyback on that, it's a lot easier for us to track in our drafting system commission bills, especially legislative branch commission bills. It's a lot more difficult for governor's bills because they come through either the governor's office or the different secretariats. But for the legislative branch agencies, it's a lot easier for us to track because they provide legislative packages to us and we can track them that way.
Okay, so what is the recommendation? And does this mean that this is all bills that are pre-filed? What comes after pre-filed?
Madam Chair.
Senator, who's
Stewart.
talking? I don't see anybody in the queue except Senator Deeds.
Oh, sorry.
And then Senator Stewart.
Madam Chair, I was just going to suggest that perhaps a better way for the governor to get bills passed is not for him to have Senator Peake introduce the bills, but have Senator Favola. Senator Favola said she wasn't asked, and she needs to be asked. Senator Peake, on the other hand, it's easy to kill his bills.
Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to make a motion that we adopt a limit that is 20 bills exclusive of commission bills, period.
Period. Yeah.
Okay, I need a clarification. Is this pre-filed? What happens after pre-file?
No, my motion was 20 bills, period, exclusive of commission bills. But if somebody wants to amend that,
No, I heard you. Okay, I just want to be clear. Okay, so the motion is a 20 bill limit exclusive of commission bills, and that's seconded. Okay, all those in favor of 20 bill limit exclusive of commission bills, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Count your noes. That motion passes. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Following up on one of the other points of discussion at our last meeting, which was also allowing DLS to share information on commending resolutions. so they don't get double, triple requests on the same thing. And Madam Chair, my question to Mr. Wade is, what do you need from us to do that outside of joint rules meeting? Can the Senate also provide you with the necessary authorization to share information on commending on whichever state championship baseball team or rugby team or whichever else has happened in a district that abuts another senator, et cetera, so you can reduce the number of requests?
Well, Madam Chair, for the 2023 session, which was the last short session, you all had placed on yourselves a 20 commending and memorial resolution limit, and I think that was a request limit. Was it a request? It was a 20 commending and memorial resolution limit.
Madam Chair.
But they would, I think, his point is, how do we stop the duplications?
If you were able to give us some authority, we could, when a member makes a request, we could, if we had the authority from joint rules, we could tell the member that someone else has made that request, and we can do it first in time, and then say, well, that one's taken, that particular memorial is taken, and if you all will give us the authority to let the members know upon making of the request, that would really help us so that we wouldn't have to.
Madam Chair, so moved. I move what he just said.
In the event that there's a duplication, we are authorizing DLS to alert another member that this is a duplicate.
Correct. What we would do is we would I don't know if we can change the BDS system yet, but we would say basically we're going to let other
First come,
know
first serve.
that this particular request has been made, and then as long as you all know, we'll get something out to the members that will say that we to prevent duplication of memorial and commending resolutions, we will let you know when there's been a first in time, so that.
Are we all clear on this?
Madam
Second
Chairman.
what he said.
One quick question.
Senator Fuvola.
So when you say, you would tell both members, if member A submitted the request early and member B put in the similar request, both A and B
Correct.
would, not just B would be told.
Right, and we'll probably have a C and a D to keep it going.
Senator Hashmi.
So just to clarify, it's not just internal to the Senate chamber that we're talking about duplication, but there would be cross-discussion between Senate and House DLS on the issue.
Well, that creates sort of a different situation because that's a different house, and that I don't know if.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take that up with them too. Yes. Yes, yeah.
A lot of aspects of community memorial resolutions. It has become, the House passing a resolution that is word for word like the Senate resolution, and the Senate passing a resolution is word for word like the House resolution, which to me, when it's presented to the family or the group, is somewhat, I'm just going to say embarrassing. For the General Assembly. Things like if a member served in the House and then came to the Senate and died while serving in the Senate, it should be a Senate resolution, not a House resolution. But the House should be able to sign on. Things like that need to be looked at.
So Madam Chair, my suggestion is we get this conversation starting, but at least starting to set a Senate precedent to make sure that these conversations take place, because I think they do need to take place, to make sure we start to narrow down the parameters between chambers, and that requires joint rules. But for now, I would move that we adopt and give DLS the permission to share and coordinate where there's duplicate requests on the same subject, individual, or other requiring a memorial or commending resolution. and so move.
That,
It's been moved and seconded that we allow DLS to do what Jeremy just said.
for the Senate.
For the Senate. Got that? Okay. All right.
He just went away. Yeah.
Ryan, did you have something?
No, it's just for the Senate, I'm good.
Yes, just for
That's
the
correct.
Senate. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. All right. Now, is there any further business to come before the committee? If not, we are adjourned.
Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.